Hello everybody, and welcome to the Digital Director's Toolkit video for how to create titles in Vmix. So first we're going to be looking at some of the preset titles that you have in Vmix. Then after that we're going to be looking at how to create your own titles with the title builder. Then next we're going to be looking at how to import titles from Photoshop as PSDs. Alright, so here we are in Vmix, and the first thing we're going to look at is how to use the pre-existing templates that are included with Vmix. So every title, just like anything else in Vmix, is added as a new input. So let's click the new input button, and then we're going to look down our list of options that we have here for inputs. And you'll notice at the bottom we have our title/XAML. And when you click on this button, you get a whole host of templates, which are all the different kind of pre-built preset templates within Vmix. So let's just pick one of these and we'll look at how to modify it. If I highlight this title, the classic blue, and hit OK, you can see that it populates our input with this headline and description title. So we have a couple of options along the top here. We can change the font to any one of our system fonts. I'm going to go for Alpha Slab 1. You can control the font weight, anywhere from extra light to bold, and you can change the font style: normal, oblique, italic, underline, strike through, and then obviously the size. So I'm just going to select Alpha Slab 1 and hit OK. You also have controls outside of the main menu on this plus and minus for changing the font size however you want. And then you can change the color of your text. I'm going to leave it as white for now. And then underneath you have options for if you would like this to display a clock or a countdown. I'm just going to leave it as a headline for now though. So once you've modified your headline, you can then move over to the next bit of text, which is the description. And I'm just going to do the same thing and change the typeface to Alpha Slab 1. There we go. And now I'm going to close these options and I'll hit play to show how this is going to animate. There we are, quick and simple. So as I said before, there are tons of pre-built, pre-designed templates that are in Vmix. So if you just want to put something together very quickly and you don't want the fuss of designing something yourself, these are really, really useful. But they do tend to lean on the side of looking like they're something that are going to be used on the news or on a live stream or on a sports channel or something like that. So they might not always be suitable for us. I'm just going to clear this title that we created, and I will show you another way of creating your own custom titles within Vmix. The way that we create a custom title is by clicking on this options menu on the right hand side of the screen and going to the GT Title Designer. So anyone who's used PowerPoint will instantly be familiar with the controls of the GT Title Designer. It's very, very similar. On the left here you have options for different shapes, and at the top you have all your different options for formatting and for animations. So just to run through very briefly how this works, if let's say I want to create a rectangle and I want to place some text in the middle. Now I'm going to go to the home screen again. This is really where you have all your options for formatting. So I can centralize this text, have it flush left or justified. I'm going to centralize it and increase the point size and change the font on these options here. So I'm going to go with Vivas New, which is a good title font. And I'm going to change it to bold. And I'm going to increase the point size to 120. Oh no, we need a bit more. Let's go for 150. Maybe just a touch more even. 204. There we go. Now I'm going to change the color to white. And then I'm going to add a border to this title as well. I'm going to highlight the red box, go to the stroke options, which is the border, make the thickness, let's say 20 points. The style, I'm going to go for a dashed line. And the corners, I will leave them I'll leave them rounded. So I've created two objects here. I've created a piece of text and I've created a background for it. Let's say I want to make this title text slightly transparent. Well, transparency and other effects are all controlled on the effects panel. Here's our option for transparency. I'm just going to drop it down to 80% and add a large drop shadow. You can also skew the text horizontally and vertically. You can flip any object, add a mask, crop, or feather the border. The next thing I'd like to do to my custom title is add some animations to it. So if we go over to the animations, and this really does work in a very similar way to PowerPoint. So let's say I want to animate this piece of text with a gradual fade. Well, I'll select the fade animation, set the duration to 2 seconds. I want it to happen quite slowly. The style, I'm going to go for linear first and then change the easing just to show you the difference. And I'm not going to set any kind of delay. Okay, let's see what that looks like when I press play. There we go. So we've created a very simple fade animation. Now, for the layer underneath, I'd like to create a fly in. So it flies in from the side. So I'll select the fly animation, 0 delay. The duration, I'm going to put to 0.5 seconds because I want it to happen quite quickly. It's going to fly in from the left and the style is going to be linear. Let's press play and see what happens then. Okay, not too bad. The only thing I don't really like is that the text starts to animate in before the rectangle has flown in from the left. I actually want the title text to come in after the rectangle. So what I'm going to do is select my rectangle and change the delay of the animation to 1 second. And let's see how that goes. I'll just click off everything first, hit play. Okay, that's definitely better now. But I'm still not finished. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to highlight the rectangle, and you'll notice how when I press play on that animation, the rectangle moves in very, very quickly, and I'd like to make that movement a little bit smoother. And the way that we do that is by changing the style. So I'm going to change this to cubic easing in and out. And I'm going to increase the duration to 1 second. Now when I hit play, you can see that the object lines are a bit smoother now. And this style, called easing, can be added to any object to make all of your animations look smoother. So let's see what happens when we change the duration of this to 1 second and change the easing to ease in and out. Much, much better. So next, let's save our animation and I'll show you how to bring it into Vmix. We go to File, Save As, and Save As Type GT Documents. And I'm just going to call it title text. Save. Okay, we can now close the GT title designer. And then when we go into Vmix, we can add an input, title XAML. And rather than select one of the presets, we just click on Browse and navigate to our title text.gt zip. Open. And then our custom title will be available to select within Vmix. I hit OK. What's interesting about this is we can actually still change the text because it's in the GT title designer format. So I'm going to change this to Scene 01. Close that, press play, and we've now created a custom title. Very, very simple, very easy. But next I'm going to show you a third option, which is actually the option I would use. And that's using Adobe Photoshop to create a layered file, which we then import into GT Title Designer to create our own custom titles that have all of the flexibility and tools within Photoshop. So here's an example of some titles that I've created in Photoshop. One of the advantages of making these titles in Photoshop rather than in Vmix is we just have a lot of options in terms of texture, layout, creating 3D text, and you just don't have the same options natively in Vmix. So I've created 3 sections: custom, title, design, and then also a background layer that's going to sit underneath. And I've created them on 3 separate layers, which is very, very important, and I'll explain why later when we go into Vmix. So I'm just going to save that now and close, and then we're going to go straight into Vmix and look at how to import this as a title and add animations. So similar to creating a custom title, I'm going to go to my title designer in the corner, GT title designer, and then rather than creating anything here, I'm going to go to File and Import PSD. And then I'm going to navigate to my custom title, Photoshop, and open. Now what this does, which is very, very clever, is it will actually import all of these separate layers as separate objects in the title designer. They can be switched off and on, and they can be controlled and animated individually. So the first thing I want to do is animate this custom text at the top. So I'm going to go to my animations menu, and I'm going to fly this in from the top with 0 delay, and it's going to take 1 second, and we're going to add our easing as well. Next, I'm going to animate this middle section, and I want this to zoom in with a delay of 0.5, same duration, and cubic easing in and out. The reason I'm setting the delay to 0.5 is because I want this animation to happen after the first custom one. And then the third layer, I'm going to fly this in from the bottom. The delay is going to be 1 second, duration 1 second, and easing as well. And then I'm going to hit the play button to see how that looks. Not too bad. I think we could go a little bit snappier though, so I'm actually going to change the duration on all of these to 0.5 instead. And let's see how that looks. That's better. Okay, so now I've added my animations. All I need to do is go to File, Save As, and save this as a GT document. I'm going to call it Vintage Title. Now I can close GT Title Designer and add an input, title/XAML. And then remember, rather than selecting one from here, we go to Browse and find our title on the desktop and hit Open. And then if we select this option and hit OK, close these because we're not going to change any of those settings. This is now available as a fully animated title, and we'll just hit play to preview it. Custom title design. There we go. So you can see it's very, very easy to import custom titles from Photoshop. Okay, so that was our introduction on how to create custom titles in Vmix and how to import them from Photoshop. If you have any questions about creating custom titles, or you need any help creating them, then please do send me an email. My email address is at the end of the video. Thanks very much.